Hi, and welcome to my channel. Or if you're a returning subscriber, hi again. It's so nice to see you back here for another video. My name's Tess Lark, and today I'm going to show you how you can make these fall colored 3D epoxy flower coasters using epoxy resin and alcohol ink. As always, I'll have all the materials that I use for this project linked in the description below. So if anybody's interested in trying this project for themselves, all of that information will be down there for you. And let's craft! To save some time in this video, I went ahead and I pre-mixed my resin. So I mixed up about 200 milliliters of resin, just using half resin and half hardener. And I did that because I like my coasters to be about 50 milliliters thick per coaster, and I'll be making 4 coasters. So I'm just going to go ahead and begin by filling up my coasters as evenly as possible. I also mixed up about 40 milliliters of clear resin, and I just set that off to the side in a small little cup here. And to that I'm going to be adding some white. And my white is by Pinata Colors. It's their Blanco Blanco. I'm also sorry for any background noise. There's some construction going on outside, so that is just what it is today, so please bear with me. But I'm just hitting these really quickly with my heat gun to pop some bubbles before moving on. Colors that I'll be using for this project are the purplish red and the orange by Let's Resin, along with the sun bright yellow by Pinata Colors. I'm going to start by putting some yellow down in the center, and then I'm going to go around that with my orange. And after I've got my layer of orange in there, I'm going to go right around the edge using my purplish red. And then once I'm happy how the colors are looking, I'm going to go ahead and start creating my petals. So I'm just taking some of that white resin on a clean popsicle stick, and I'm going to make little half circles around the outside edge of this coaster mold. And then once I've got my first layer of petals in there, I'm going to go ahead and create a second layer a little bit closer to the center of the flower. And guys, if you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to give it a like. It not only helps out my channel a whole lot, but it also lets me know that I'm making content that you guys want to see from me. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I was looking at my analytics recently, and it's only like 20% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel, and I'd really love to change that. So I'm just ending with a little swirl in the center of this flower, and then I'm going to take my popsicle stick and drag those lines into the center just to give a little bit more definition to those petals. And then moving on to my next piece, and I'm going to use that same technique. So starting with my yellow, going around with the orange, and then hitting that outside edge with my purplish red. And then I'll use my popsicle stick to go ahead and start making those half circles for some petals. And I did kind of realize that I was finding these to be a little bit more abstract than I typically like. So for the last 2 coasters, I do try a different technique, and I'll show you what that is very soon. But again, for this piece, I'm just ending with a little swirl in the middle and then using my popsicle stick to drag those lines into the center. And then for my next coaster, I'm going to start the flower out the same way, using the yellow in the center, following it with the orange, and then going around the edges with my purplish red. But for the white, I decided to go ahead and put it into a little sandwich bag that I'll be using as a piping bag. So I've just cut the tip off, and I'm just going to make about 4 or 5 circles, and then I'm going to use my popsicle stick to draw those lines into the center. And then I'll be using that same technique for this last coaster, putting down my colors first, and then I'm going to go ahead and use a piping bag to draw some circles in there before using my popsicle stick to finally pull all of those lines into the center. Leave me a comment below if you've tried these techniques before and which one you like the best. And then I'll just use my heat gun to pop any bubbles before letting these cure. Alright, so I went ahead and I let these coasters set up overnight. They're looking really, really pretty from the back. So let's go ahead and pop them out of their molds and just see how they turned out. There's a lot of depth and dimension going on in this one for sure. It has like a bit of like a feathery, flowery texture to it. It's really pretty. I really love the way that the back looks also, but the front is pretty cool. Moving right along, let's pop out this middle one here. Ooh, I love this one. Again, there's so much going on, so much movement. It's really pretty. I love this one too. It's almost like a little sunburst of a flower. It's so cute. And then for our last one here, now these two are the ones that I made by putting the petals sort of individually around in a couple different layers. And these are the two that I made by drawing the white circles and then dragging those into the center. And I think that I prefer the shape of these ones. They're a little bit less abstract and a little bit more floral in my opinion. But overall, I'm really loving how this set of coasters is turning out. I think that I want to give these a like sparkly or shimmery white background just because they're so dark that I think that you're going to be able to see a lot more detail if I do. So let's go ahead and give these guys a background. I'm a little bit sad that we're going to miss the backs of these, but I think that that's the way to go. To make my white background, I went ahead and mixed up another 60 milliliters of clear resin. And to that, I'm going to add some more of my Blanco Blanco by Pinata colors. And to give it a bit of a shimmer, I'll also be using the Crystal White Mica Powder by Arteza. And just to remind you guys, I will go ahead and link all the materials that I use in the description below. And then I'm just using my popsicle stick to thoroughly incorporate that pigment into my resin. You want to make sure that it's all evenly incorporated. You don't want any big chunks, especially of the mica powder, which does need a little bit more mixing in my experience than alcohol ink does. And just keep in mind, whenever you're mixing pigment with resin, you do want to keep the ratio to be about 90% resin to 10% pigment. And again, just hitting this with my heat gun to pop some bubbles before I start to pour this onto the backs of my coasters. And the backs of these are so cute that I'm really sad we're gonna lose them. They kind of remind me a bit of pansies from the back, but I do think that by adding a white background, you're gonna be able to see a lot more detail in the finished pieces. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start by pouring some of that white resin onto the back of my coaster, but I'm not gonna pour so much that it fills it up all the way because I definitely don't want this to bleed or leach over the sides. So instead, I'm just gonna really carefully pick up the coaster and tilt it around till I get it right up pretty close to the edges. And then I'll be using a popsicle stick to get it right around those edges. And I'm really just taking my time because again, I haven't taped these off or anything, so I don't want anything to spill over the sides and ruin the front of them. But then just moving on to the next piece, and I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat that same process, pouring some of that resin out, but not so much that it goes all the way to the edge. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and use gravity to help me pull that along. And then I'll finish it up with my popsicle stick. And then for the last two coasters, I'm just gonna go ahead and use that same process. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut all of that footage so you're not watching me put backs on coasters for 20 minutes. And then once I've got the backs on all of my coasters, I'll go ahead and hit these once more with my heat gun and let them set up overnight before moving on. Alright, so I let my coasters set up overnight and they are looking so beautiful. I absolutely love this white background. I think it really makes those colors pop. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some rubber bumpers onto the back of these so they don't scratch up any surface that they're resting on. So I've just got these little guys here and I'm just going to place 4 of them on the back of each coaster. And when I'm putting my bumpers on the coasters, I find it easiest to just start with one. So I'll place one towards the edge and then I'm going to go directly down from that and I'll place the next one there. So straight across. And then I will use a center mark between the 2 of those and place my 3rd little rubber bumper right there. And then I'll go straight down from this one and line it up in between these 2 here. So just like that. And so now that I've got my coasters all finished up, they're ready for me to go ahead and list them in my Etsy, which is fragilebings.com. Make sure to check that out after you're done with this video. It's a great way to support me, my art, and this channel. But overall, you guys, I think these pieces are so stunning. I love how abstract they are, but you definitely get that floral feel to them. I think that the next time I make these, I'll go ahead and let the colors kind of hit the edges of the mold so that the flower fills in the entire space instead instead of sort of shrinking into the center like it did with these. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for spending part of your day with me, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this video. And if you did make it all the way to the end of the video, leave me some sort of flower emoji in the comments so that I know that it's real. Also, let me know in the comments below what you guys are working on and if there's any video ideas that you'd like to see from me. I really hope that this video inspires you to make something of your own today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!